Hello everybody, so I'm continuing my Pink Floyd reviews with their fourth studio album, Ummagumma, or Ummagumma, however you want to pronounce it. So this was released in November of 1969, and this was their first double album. The first disc is all live recordings. Second disc is studio recordings. Now this album does get quite a bad rep. While the live material on here is usually praised, the studio recordings on here are not really well liked. So, but yeah, we're going to go into the track listing and then I can give you my thoughts on this album. So yeah, I am going to cover the live disc. So the live disc, you've got Astronomy Domini, which it's a good version. I mean, I do prefer the studio version from Piper of the Gates at Dawn, but the live version on here is really good as well. And then we get Careful with That Axe, Eugene. You know, this is a really good. This I actually do think is better than the studio version that was released as a single, a non-album single. And then we get Set the Controls to the Heart of the Sun. It's a good version. I probably do prefer the studio version just a bit more, but this version's good. And then the live disc ends with Saucer Full of Secrets. Now I'm not a fan of the studio version from the album of the same name. I'm not too keen on the live version either. I'm just not really keen on this track in general. And then we're going to look at the studio disc now. So the studio disc opens with a 4-part. So on the second disc, like, each member of the band gets to do their own, like, gets to do their own thing. So it starts off with Sisyphus, which is a 4-parter by Richard Wright. I enjoyed parts of this track. You know, part 1 I quite enjoyed. The rest of it, I kind of feel it does drag a little bit. And then we get Roger Waters' Grantchester Meadows, which is a brilliant track. It's a beautiful acoustic track, and I think it's the best track on this whole album. And then we get probably the worst song that Pink Floyd's ever done. That is Several Species of Small Furry Animals Gathered Together in a Cave and Grooving with a Pict. Try saying that title when you're pissed. And yeah, Roger Waters wrote this, and it really is just terrible. I mean, it's literally just a tape loop of animal noises. So yeah, it's very avant-garde. Well, this whole album is very avant-garde, and I'm not really big on avant-garde, but yeah, I really just don't like this track. It really does nothing for me. And then we get David Gilmour's contribution on here, The Narrow Way, which is a 3-parter. It's decent, you know. It's definitely better. It's better than Several Small Species, but I think any Pink Floyd song is better than that. And it ends with the Grand Vizier's Garden Party, which is the Nick Mason contribution. Again, it's decent enough, but I don't think it's great. So yeah, as you can tell, I have mixed feelings on this album. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But do I like it? I suppose I do like it. I mean, but it is a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, the live stuff on here is honestly better than the studio recordings. I mean, most of the studio recordings on here are just, they're decent, but they're not. It's not great. Grantchester Meadows is the only one on here that I would say is great. The rest of it's just okay. It's just all right. And well, several small species, as I've said, is terrible. And the live stuff on here is really good. So yeah, I'm gonna give this album. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I mean, it's a mixed bag. I have mixed feelings on it, but I think it's decent enough. But it's one of those albums. If you're only a casual fan of Pink Floyd, then avoid it at all costs. But if you're a diehard fan, then check it out, I suppose. And yeah, obviously, as you can see, I don't have a copy of this album. I will get a copy of it. While it's not a great album, but I still think it's worth having in the collection. So I hope you enjoyed my review on this album. My next review will be on Atom Heart Mother. So I will see you then.